Hi, welcome to Wake TV. I'm your host, Dara Demai. There's a lot going on here in Wake County, so stay tuned. We're going to tell you all about it. Every year, Wake County hosts an event called the State of the County, and during that event, we talk about all the great things that have happened over the past year. Here's a look at what's happened in 2021.
2021 has been one of the most challenging years in Wake County's history, but it's also seen some of our greatest advances to date. We've endured the ongoing challenge of COVID-19 while making our largest ever economic development announcements, supporting education at unprecedented levels, and tackling our affordable housing challenges head-on. I'm Matt Calabria, and as chair of the Wake County Commission, I'm proud of the good work that we've done. I invite you to hear from my fellow commissioners as they share milestones from the past year that have made our county an even better place to live, work, learn, and play.
More than 1.1 million residents now live in Wake County. And as more people move here, we must continue making sure that they can afford a place to live. For some, that means being able to rent an apartment near their workplace. For others, it means being able to buy a home near their child's school. I'm Vickie Adamson, Vice Chair of the Wake County Commission, and we don't want our residents to get priced out of our market. That's why we're laser focused on two things: preserving the current number of affordable housing units we already have and adding new ones to our inventory. We are actively supporting renters who are on the verge of eviction due to the pandemic. To date, our House Wake COVID-19 Financial Assistance Program has received 9,000 applications for help and has spent or obligated more than $20 million in assistance to keep people off the streets and in their homes.
I'm Commissioner Maria CERVANIA, and getting our community vaccinated against COVID-19 is critically important. While 80% of our adult population in Wake County has gotten at least one shot, there are pockets of the population in which the rate is not as high. That's where our community outreach comes into play. Teams of educators and nurses have been going door to door in our neighborhoods where COVID cases are high and vaccination rates are low. These teams share facts about the virus and address questions and concerns. Thanks to those conversations, more and more residents have chosen to get vaccinated, often right in their own homes. We've also held successful vaccination clinics at historically African American churches and local mosques, and formed partnerships with groups like El Centro Hispano, all in an effort to reach people where they are, with important health and safety information from those they trust.
I'm Commissioner Susan Evans, and I'm proud to say this board fully supports our education continuum in Wake County. From cradle to college, our youngest residents have a strong path forward. It starts with Wake 3 School, our new pre-K program to help lower-income 3-year-olds get off on the right foot. Then it moves through the award-winning Wake County Public School System and ends at Wake Tech, which offers more than 200 different areas of study. We provide substantial funding for each phase of the continuum to help ensure this generation and all the ones coming after are equipped with the knowledge, skills, and confidence to launch successful careers and live full lives. And when the public school system needed help during the peak of the pandemic, we were there for them. We provided the district with more than $29 million in additional resources to help them adapt to the ever-changing challenges brought about by the pandemic. So even when we're responding to a global health crisis, our eye is still on education.
2021 has been an incredibly busy year for our public safety agencies. In addition to their regular duties, our emergency management teams, firefighters, law enforcement officers, and EMS crews worked closely with our public health team to lead the fight against COVID-19. Thanks to their hard work, our drive-through vaccine clinic at PNC gave life-saving shots to 87,000 people, from February to May. The team that leads our response to these emergencies, ranging from pandemics to hurricanes to snowstorms, works out of one room called the Emergency Operations Center, or EOC. Its current location doesn't provide enough space to accommodate all the staff that we need during large-scale crises. That's why I'm proud to announce that Wake County is building a new, more modern EOC that will better meet the needs of our growing community. And we're saving taxpayers money by taking advantage of more than $1 million in federal funds to defray the cost of construction. On the fire safety front, 4 local fire departments improved the quality of their service so much that it decreased their state insurance ratings. These ratings are important because insurance companies use them to determine how much to charge for fire insurance. Improved scores mean some businesses in Apex, Morrisville, Wendell, and Zebulon could see their premiums drop, saving them hundreds or even thousands of dollars apiece.
What's up, Wake County? Commissioner Sig Hutchinson here to talk about how we're making your life even better here in Wake County. Starting right here. This is one of our newest nature preserves. This is Sandy Pines, 580 acres that will be opening in the next couple of weeks. We can't wait to see you out here. In addition to that, we have Beach Bluff, which is outside of Garner, and let's not forget Kellum Wyatt Farm outside of Raleigh. On the transit front, we have already achieved our goal of connecting all 12 municipalities up to transit. We're working on the first leg of our bus rapid transit, a brand new technology along Newbern Avenue. And if you still haven't gotten your vaccine yet, we can help you out. Go Wake Access can provide free transportation, so either give us a call or go on the website. We'll hook you up, we'll take you down to the health center, and we'll get it done.
I'm Commissioner SHINICA Thomas, and as a board, we believe internet connectivity is important. The bottom line is, if you can't access high-speed internet, it's very difficult to function in our modern world. You can't work from home, you can't take online classes, and you can't pay bills electronically. That's why we're working with the state to help figure out how to expand internet access more affordably and equitably. With our own organization, we're focusing like never before on improving diversity, equity, and inclusion. We've created a new position for a DEI director and allocated funds to help this position identify and implement new strategies to make Wake County an employer of choice. We also enacted the Crown Act, which means hairstyle, types, or textures historically associated with race are now protected in Wake County's employee non-discrimination policy. Through these steps and others, we hope to serve as a role model for other municipalities and businesses to follow.
I am Commissioner James West, and I believe the work we are doing to elevate our most vulnerable residents, making our community better as a whole. As they say, a rising tide lifts all boats. Our social and economic vitality team powered through the pandemic, never stopping their efforts to build up some of our most underserved residents. They secured an $84,000 grant to explore development of a co-working hub for grassroots nonprofit, small businesses, and faith-based groups in Southeast Raleigh. They also celebrated nearly 50 people graduating from the life coaching program called Mindset, which helps participants find a path to self-sufficiency. And they worked extremely hard to protect our vulnerable residents from COVID-19 by giving out thousands of free masks, sponsoring vaccination clinics, and distributing free meals. Along those lines, our Live Well Wake initiative received a $3.8 million grant from the CDC to address COVID-19 related health disparities in Wake County. The project unites the county with community organizations and historically Black colleges and universities to advance health equity through innovative solutions. We must keep Wake County vibrant, sustainable, and inclusive through empowered action. The best of the county can be realized when we all win.
As you can see, we're doing incredible work here in Wake County. From equity and education to affordable housing and public health, we are firmly focused on serving the community and helping to ensure that no matter who you are, you'll have an opportunity to prosper here in Wake County.
Since 2009, the Happy Trails program has turned thousands of Christmas trees into mulch for many of the trails in Wake County's parks. We encourage residents to recycle their Christmas trees by bringing them to one of the 8 convenient locations around the county for chipping. In 2020 alone, the Happy Trails program received 6,630 trees, which were turned into more than 113 tons of mulch.
So in the month of December, you use your Christmas tree, and then what? It could either go in a landfill, you can use it as a fish habitat for a pond, or you can bring it to one of the Wake County Convenience Centers or county parks where we'll chip it and it'll be mulched, and then we put it into the trail system, ultimately enhancing the environment.
If you would like to donate your tree to the Happy Trails program at the end of this year's holiday season, please remove all decorations and bring the tree to one of the 8 locations on your screen by Sunday, January 23rd.
Hi everyone. We have an exciting project going on with the City County Bureau of Identification. It's under construction as we speak. A new DNA lab that'll be the first of its kind here in Wake County. Joining us today to talk more about it is Director of CCBI, Sam Pennica. Thank you, Sam, for coming by.
Thank you for inviting me.
This is an exciting time for you all. You're getting a DNA lab after many years of working on this.
Yes, it is. We're very excited about it. It's been a long time coming, and we're looking forward to getting it up and running very soon.
So it's the first one here in the Triangle, second one in the state, is that right?
It's the second local government laboratory in the state. The state has 2 crime laboratories, one in the eastern part, here in Raleigh, and one in the western part of the state, which they do DNA analysis. And that's what local governments depend on as a state crime lab to conduct their analysis, except for the one that's in Charlotte, Mecklenburg.
And I think that's an important point to make, because I don't think a lot of people have really ever thought about how DNA goes from being collected in the field at a crime scene to analysis. So tell us how that works now and how things will change once the new lab comes online.
Well, currently, and for many years, ever since DNA became a discipline within the state crime laboratory, local agencies would collect the evidence that's collected at crime scenes, and rape kits were submitted to the state crime lab for analysis. There's no cost to the local governments to use that service, but that's how they've been operating since, I believe they started DNA in the late 80s, early 90s. The Charlotte Crime Laboratory started, I believe, in the early 2002, 2003 with their DNA laboratory. So that was the first local government laboratory. And we've been submitting evidence to the state crime lab. I believe we account for about 10% of their work. It's quite a bit when it comes from Wake County. Of course, being the largest county population-wise in the state, that's understandable. So that evidence is submitted to the state crime lab, along with evidence from jurisdictions in 98 other counties.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. So everybody has to stand in line and wait their turn. And the state crime lab tries to prioritize the analysis based upon, the severity of the crime, and whether that analysis could lead to an arrest much sooner than waiting. And for court purposes, how soon the case will be going to court if an arrest has been made. So there's a lot of factors that play into how the state crime lab prioritizes those cases. But either way, Wake County is having to wait in line and wait its turn. With our own DNA lab, we have total control of the evidence. We have total control of prioritizing as to what evidence will be analyzed and in what order. And also when there's a need for an analysis to be done quickly that would help lead to the identification of a suspect and lead to a much quicker arrest, we've got control over when that analysis takes place. And it would not be unusual for us to maybe do that at 2 o'clock in the morning, begin the process. We do that now with 2 other disciplines in the laboratory, with firearms and fingerprint analysis. We have people on call, nights and weekends, and holidays if needed, to analyze evidence to provide those leads to the investigators that are needed quickly. We envision that we will do the same thing with DNA.
Yeah, and timeliness is so important when you're trying to solve a case and bring a sense of justice to a victim. What are we talking about the time frame switching from in the current way you do things using the state lab to having your own lab? Is it going from months to weeks or months to days?
The district attorney tells me that her prosecutors are waiting 6 to 8 months to get an analysis back. Some of the local departments, depending on how quickly they need it, they will send it to a private laboratory to get the evidence analyzed. My DNA expert is telling me that he could turn around a case or a piece of evidence within 24 hours if needed.
Wow.
If needed. But we will, again, I guess in comparison, we will be doing cases routinely. I would say we would go from months to probably weeks.
And that is so impressive and should be really helpful to the law enforcement officers and the investigators who are trying to catch the perpetrators and put the people in behind bars or take them to court or however the next step in the process goes.
It's very important to the investigators as they move through their case, because not only will it be identify suspects, but also eliminate people who may be a possible suspect based upon some circumstantial evidence at the time as the investigation is progressing. And that happens quite frequently, where someone becomes a suspect and then evidence shows, then the detective moves on to someone else. This could be also play a critical role in eliminating someone that that evidence might point or is pointing to them, but now the DNA evidence points in a completely different direction. So it sort of exonerates that person. This is pre-arrest, but also helps the officers stop wasting time and going the wrong direction, and help them get on track and go to another direction.
Yeah, that's so great. And talking about time too, I've heard you say how us having our own DNA lab here in Wake County is going to help those 98 other jurisdictions that also use the state lab like we currently do until our new lab comes online.
Oh, absolutely. With the volume of resources that Wake County is consuming from the state, and we'll no longer be consuming those resources, they then become available for the other 98 counties across the state. So this laboratory has a tremendous impact not only on Wake County, but all across the state of North Carolina. This allows those resources that we'll no longer be consuming made available to all the other jurisdictions across the state.
And then you were saying 10% is maybe what we take up of their workload. I mean, that really does make a big difference.
Makes a big difference, yes.
For sure. Well, I want to talk about how COVID helped bring this project to reality, which is not something you normally hear, a sort of a silver lining to COVID, but it really did give you sort of an extra helping hand in making this project happen. Tell us about that.
We've wanted to build this DNA laboratory for quite some time. And one of the problems we were facing was not having enough space in our current facility. We would have to take it off-site, which would not be an efficient way of operating. And it would be very costly. Either would have to build another facility or rent some space, and then certainly would need to be renovated to meet our needs. So COVID comes along, and of course we worked very diligently in making sure that employees followed protocol and the safety measures. And one of the most important ones was staying away from each other.
That's right. Yeah. Don't spread the virus.
So we had a room, probably I'm getting 2,000 square feet or maybe a little less, where there were 30 cubicles in that room that the crime scene investigators each had their own cubicle. And that's where they would come to do their paperwork, take care of administrative duties. Mm-hmm. So they had their own little workspace. We sent them home, told them, and what they would do is they would come to the office, get their computer, get their car, and they would hang around the office and do what work that needed to be done administratively or working on some evidence until a request would come in. And then they would take turns. They would rotate answering a call, which means they would drive from the central location of the office out into various areas of the county responding to the request. So we sent them home when COVID hit, work from home, answer calls from home. Don't come to the office unless you absolutely have to. Turn in your evidence, turn in paperwork, and don't all come to the office at the same time.
Right.
It was pretty much stay away from each other as much as you can. Well, what we discovered was because they were no longer responding from a central location, they were responding from their homes, and their homes, they live in various areas around the county and in the adjoining counties. Sure. What they started doing was answering calls that were closest to their residents. Our response times were good. Well, now they're really excellent.
That's awesome.
So they're getting to the scene quicker than they ever have, and it freed up all of this space. So I made the decision in talking with my command staff, what do you think about, we just never bring them back to the office, but we just make this the way we operate. It's working very well. And we've already seen the benefit to it with the response time.
And your people liked it too.
Oh, they loved it. Yes. Yeah, who wouldn't?
Right.
Right. We all agreed that we would just maintain this as a permanent way of doing business. And that's how we got the space to build a DNA lab. So from there, once we had the space, then we put a plan together and began the process of building the lab.
And so when can we expect the construction process to be complete and operations actually to start?
The construction is in two phases. The first one is relocating employees. That should take about 90 days to finish. And then the actual DNA laboratory, which is two rooms, will take about another 90 days. So we're looking at a completion date, contractors saying first week of April. The construction will be completed. And
then you have to hire the employees and get accredited, right? It doesn't automatically just go into action.
It does not. The next step, we're in the process now of hiring the employees. The advertisements are out.
Oh, good.
Recruitment is out. So we're looking at having them in place. The funding for the positions. One position, the funding is available December 1st. The commissioners approved that position for December 1st, and the other two available April 1st, which falls right in line with the construction.
Sure.
Congressional Representatives Ross and Price were very helpful with securing earmark money in the budget that's pending in Congress. It's still got to get passed and signed by the president. But there is $500,000 in Representative Ross's community projects to fund for the equipment in this laboratory. So that will also fall in line in our timeline very nicely if the money comes through in January, is what we anticipate. Then we can begin purchasing the equipment, get the equipment delivered after April. The employees will be there. There'll be policies, procedures, protocols, and so forth that need to be written. And validation of the equipment will have to take place. So probably around the summer or early fall, we'll be in a position that we then can schedule the accrediting body to come in and accredit the laboratory. The DNA laboratory has to meet accreditation standards set by the accrediting body, but also there's specific things that need to be done that the FBI requires. And the reason is we will be accessing the combined DNA index system, CODIS, and to access that federal database, we've got to operate in a fashion that the FBI will accept. So that accreditation process, we hope we can get it done by the fall or early winter, but it does take some time. And we're hoping to analyze evidence maybe by this time next year or early 23.
Oh, that's exciting.
Very
a
excited
lot's going
for
to
us.
happen between now and
We have
then.
have a big year ahead of us.
That's right. That's right.
A lot of moving parts that have to come together.
For sure. As you've mentioned, this is kind of something that you've been working on for a while. What does it mean to you personally as a longtime veteran of CCBI and other law enforcement agencies to see something that's going to do so much good in your community come to life?
It really makes me, I'm very excited about it. It gives me a feeling of an accomplishment, but more importantly, one in which I know how much help this will be in the investigations that the officers are conducting, how much help this will be in the judicial system, but most importantly to the victims and to the victims' families. Knowing that's going to contribute in a way that's very positive to so many people, that just gives me a feeling of satisfaction and it makes me feel good.
Well, thank you for coming in and sharing all of this information with us today.
Thank you for having me. We're very proud of this accomplishment as an agency, and we really want the public to know what service they're receiving and what a change this will make for the criminal justice system in this state.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thanks again. And thank you all for watching today. If you'd like to learn more about what CCBI does, feel free to go to our website, wakegov.com, and search CCBI.
Each year between October and March, the Warmth for Wake program brings volunteers together who chop up firewood and deliver it to those who need it most all over the county. Weather permitting, volunteers meet every other Saturday throughout the winter to chop and deliver firewood. In addition to firewood delivery, Warmth for Wake also distributes new and gently used space heaters to residents in need. If you'd like to learn more about how you can help, please visit the website on your screen. Since 2009, the Happy Trails program has turned thousands of Christmas trees into mulch for many of the trails in Wake County's parks. We encourage residents to recycle their Christmas trees by bringing them to one of the 8 convenient locations around the county for chipping. In 2020 alone, the Happy Trails program received 6,630 trees, which were turned into more than 113 tons of mulch.
So in the month of December, you use your Christmas tree, and then what? It could either go in a landfill, you can use it as a fish habitat for a pond, or you can bring it to one of the Wake County convenience centers or county parks where we'll chip it and it'll be mulched, and then we put it into the trail system, ultimately enhancing the environment.
If you would like to donate your tree to the Happy Trails program at the end of this year's holiday season, please remove all decorations and bring the tree to one of the 8 locations on your screen by Sunday, January 23rd.
That's all for this episode of Wake TV. Keep up with all the latest Wake County news by visiting us online at wakegov.com/news. And be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube so you can always stay in the loop. We'll see you next time.